Hello and welcome to the Glow Up Method. This is the place where we talk all things mindset shifts, life transformation, all in this effort to take daily action, to change our lives, improve, transform them one day at a time. Super small, super easy. Hi, my name is Natasha and I am so honored, pleased, and excited to be your host today. Hello. Hi. Today's episode is something that was inspired by a dear friend of mine at the gym. So today is my Thursday for me. I don't know what day it is in real time for y'all, but it is a Thursday and I love my Thursdays. I've been adamantly clear about that when I rewatch it. I'm like, they get it. Thursdays are your jam. And it's just this potluck of amazing experiences every freaking week. You have the physical, you have the challenges, like you have your own personal challenges. Number one, getting up and getting to the gym, huge challenge, right? Like number two, who are you showing up as that day? Like, what kind of energy do I have? You know, am I still beat from the night before? Am I able to push through? Am I able to just say, hey, I'm going to be a little bit gentler today? Do I want to challenge myself and like go up on the weights? Like, you have your own personal like journey happening there. But then you also have this remarkable community around you of their own unique energy and their own unique experiences. And some are willing to share and some are a little more elusive and a little more quiet. Some are really loud in class and some are a lot more reserved. And it's just this potluck of the world in this classroom. I have had the honor and the privilege to make friends in the class. And thankfully for me, you know my jam, I love wisdom. And who better to give me wisdom than the ladies around me that have had their own experiences? I miss this in my life. Like I miss my aunties, my uncles, my grandma, because they were just these wisdom-filled teacher professors that were constantly sharing their experiences, their knowledge, their mistakes, their wins, in order to help, in a way, improve my life. And so I think that that's a huge why for me in doing this is I get it. I'm on that journey and I'm not quite where they were, but you know, at certain points of their age, like I didn't know my grandma at 48. I wasn't born yet when my grandma was 48. And, you know, I only got to meet her when I was 50 or when I was 50. I mean, not 50 yet, when she was 50. And so I think about all her experiences and all her knowledge that she had from the day I was born. And I just think it's just this beautiful, beautiful gift to share experiences. And it doesn't mean that this is telling me this is how you have to do it, or it's yours for interpretation. And that's what I love. And so in the gym today, you know, there's so many different things that happened, right? That like really led to today's topic. So I spoke with one of my dear friends. Again, I've referenced her. Her hometown is where my family grew up in China. And it's a very unique European looking city that doesn't look like your traditional Chinese architecture or, anything. It's a very different community. And with cobblestones and big churches and things like this. From what I hear, I haven't been to China. I haven't seen either, but from what I hear, from what I understand, from the photos I've seen, you know, it's very different. It's a very different city in China. And so I have a dear connection with her. And it's interesting because it's like our ancestors walked side by side in that land. And here you are, you know, all these years later, and, you know, the great granddaughter or the granddaughter of another are somehow in a city called Fremont, California, dancing side by side. And I just think that's so fascinating. You know, I think that's one of the gifts of living in the United States of America is it is everyone's home. It is this melting potluck of culture, of wisdoms, of traditions. And it just makes life so much richer. And I love learning about people. And so today she shared with me a story. And today I said, I'm going to carry this story. And if I would have been honest and told her, hey, this is what I'm doing, I would have said, hey, you were my motivation. You sharing this story was my motivation for today's episode. So she was telling me a story about a 102-year-old woman who was recently interviewed. And within this interview, they were asking her, what is your secret to success? What is the key to longevity? And she said, I'm going to tell you, it's two things. It's attitude and gratitude. And I was like, whoa, I like that. They said, well, what do you eat? Do you have a special diet or anything? She said, I eat anything I want. If somebody comes to me with a hot dog, I'm eating the dang hot dog. If I, have a drink, I have a drink, There is no limitations when it comes to that. It's all about attitude and gratitude. And I thought, wow, isn't that really something that I wanted to sit with? So I was really ruminating on that. I had a girlfriend ask me, hey, do you have any lunch plans? And I was like, no, I don't. Do you want to go to lunch with me? I'm like, yes, I do. Absolutely. And then she asked the instructor, he had to do some blood work, but he ended up meeting us there. So it was the three of us. I had this new meal that, a Taiwanese cuisine, staple. And I never experienced it. And it was like beef noodle. It was so tasty. It was like this soup and broth and we had this whole feast that was absolutely delicious. Was totally out of something I've never eaten, and I loved it. And I was asking about, what do people typically eat that? I really was inquisitive as to the experience. I drank this delicious tea, and I just felt so beautiful to share a part of her culture and her traditions with me. And she talked about hers and things like that. So I just felt very grateful. I had an open mindset. So, let's talk first about attitude, right? So within that class, like I say, everything kind of comes together as it's supposed to. I tell you, I have this one friend in there, and she's this Energizer bunny bundle of energy. I mean, she's not always doing exactly the moves as they're doing. She's having her own party sometimes. Sometimes she's just jumping around and singing and yelling out. And her enthusiasm, her energy, her freeness opened the door for me to explore, opened the door for me to lean into my own. She inspired me. She used to dance over here, and I would be back here, and I'd be quiet and timid and didn't know the moves and was upset because I got one thing wrong initially. Till I released it. And then I looked at her and I said, man, she isn't getting the moves right every time. She's just having a good time. Isn't that what life's about? Isn't that what you're coming in? Are you coming here to have a hardcore beat your butt up workout? No, if you wanted to do that, you would go someplace else. You're in here to embrace the music, feel the community, move your body, celebrate the fact that you just did a hard workout. This is a party. And then she started being really quiet. And I was like, why is she quiet? I felt sad. I was like, listen, I like Thursdays because she's crazy. And it gives me this permission to be crazy too. Especially in the beginning. Now I could do it with or without you. But with you is so much better. And so I finally said, what's going on? Where you been? Why are you so quiet? And, she was like, well, a few of the people said I'm too loud and told me to be quiet. And and she's such a sensitive heart. She gives gifts to everybody in the gym, all the workers. It doesn't matter if you're an instructor or you're, on the janitorial staff and cleaning up. Everybody is equal in her eyes. She's so generous of heart and spirit. And the comments of somebody else broke her spirit and made her second guess her own interactions. And I said, come back here with me. Nobody's going to mess with you when I'm around. Nobody's going to say a dang word to me. And so she came back, and slowly, she reemerged from her shell. And, I feel this connection with her. She's such an amazing, fun, but sensitive soul. And she just has this beautiful energy and spirit about her that I absolutely adore. And it encourages me to show up on a Thursday morning when you're like, okay, I'm tired, and, and most days go without a mess, without anything, it's a good time. We have the class ends. But every once in a while, when you're just being you, it reflects something that's going on inside somebody else, right? I've shared on here very honestly. Before I went through my own journey that was successful, I struggled when I saw my fat friends lose weight. I wasn't mad at them. I was proud of them. I was happy for them. but it brought up a lot of insecurities within me. It made me start to beat myself up. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing a weight loss thing? Why aren't you doing it? How come you're not losing weight? Why are you gaining weight? Like, it became this thing that when I would see them, it brought back all these emotions within me. And then I would not see them, and they'd go away. I still loved them. I still wanted to be around them, but in a way, I didn't like how I felt when I was around them anymore. Because it was this big mirror into what was going on in my life. Instead of just seeing the situation for like, they're over here doing them, you're over here doing you. We're on different paths, different timelines, different everything. If you want to change it, change it. If you don't. There's no big deal. And so it was a struggle for me. And it was a struggle for me when I was no longer in a team with the other, fat girls. It was just, I was the fattest girl in the room. And I know it sounds so rude, right? But these are the observations. This was my experience. These were my insecurities. And it just made me feel even worse. Like it's just like, I just want a buddy. I don't want to be alone and be fat. Like, come on, somebody be fat with me, and I don't want you fat. I don't want you unhealthy. I don't want you, struggling with the struggles I'm in, but I also don't want to be alone in this. And I also am not putting in the energy to make any changes about it. So my discomfort was about me. It wasn't about them at all. But that makes me have some kind of compassion and sympathy to the situation. I know the woman. I know her. I know her spirit. I know her energy. I know everything she stands for. She has shown it time and time again in her generosity and in the way she shows up in this world, in her kindness that she shares. And some woman today, again, not for the first time, in the middle of class came up to her and told her to be quiet. She's too loud. She's too obnoxious. And I was turning and getting a water, so I didn't see the interaction happen, or I would have stepped up and done something. But she told me what had happened. And after she had told me what happened, I was in shock. I was like, it took me kind of out of my thing. And I was like, no, heck no. Like, we're going to be louder then. Like, we're here every week in this section. We warn those in our, screaming zone that it's about to go down. If you don't want the party, go to the edges. Go someplace else. Like, no offense. We were here first. I did that hard first class. This is where I stand every week. I don't care. I can go to another place. I'm here today. But if you don't like it, this is what's going to happen, then you need to move on. And I get it. I know the other woman. I know that she's faced challenges of her own. I actually have, talked about on here that this lady had stepped on me and slapped me in the face before. So, her and I have had interactions as well. But now I also know her story. So I also have compassion for her, right? Like, I know her story. She used to come to the gym all the time with her husband, and her husband's passed suddenly, unexpectedly. And I don't know what her life is like. And maybe there's that part of her that wants to come out and be crazy. But she was always told she couldn't, whatever she, by somebody else. And maybe she believed it. Maybe she was told it by herself. Maybe she was told it by her husband. I don't know. I don't know her story. I don't know that part of her story. But I know that it wasn't about my friend. I know that it bothered her until the end of class. Like, it just kept coming up. And I wanted her to know she's supported and loved. And I took the time after class to send her a message. And I said, don't let anybody take your shine. Like, you continue to shine brightly. You bring so many joys. Like, I know for me personally, Thursday is my favorite day because of you specifically. So don't let anybody take your sparkle. Don't let anybody take your joy because maybe they're having a bad day and a negative, mood or energy. You are the most kind and generous person. And I don't want you to second guess who you are because of somebody else's opinion, because she did. She kind of throttled herself. And then I was like, no, I'm going to be even louder than her. She may be quiet, but you come tell me to be quiet. I'm not going to, because I'm comfortable who I am. There have been times in that classroom where I have second guessed it, right? I had this lady hit me a couple times, and I was like, hey, and she was like, I did say sorry. She never said sorry. And then, her big punishment to me was, well, then I'll never dance near you. And I was like, hallelujah. Like, thank you. Since we have, I saw her cleaning her mat, and I was like, I don't want to carry this energy and look at her and get annoyed anymore. So I'm going to forgive her. I'm going to be kind to her. And this is before I even knew her husband had passed. Like, I'm just going to be kind. I think it was before. Maybe it was after. I don't know. But I'm going to be kind because that's who I am. Like, that is me. I don't want to come in this classroom and have any form of negative energy towards anyone. I just want to have a good time. I may not be everybody's cup of tea. I may be too damn loud for you. I may be too damn quiet for somebody else. But here's the beauty of things is we can be who we are. And yeah, people are going to judge us, right? We've talked on here a lot about perspectives. Their perspective is one thing. The other person's perspective is another. But my perspective of myself, I'm in there having a good time. And maybe there's sometimes on a one day, on a one-off, somebody may say something, in regards to somebody being too loud. But that does not negate the hundreds of people or hundreds of smiles or hundreds of times that people are like, thank you for bringing your energy. It motivated me. It inspired me. It helped me push a little bit harder, things like that. So yeah. And I know how I feel. Like if I'm in there throttling what I'm doing because of somebody else, that's not going to feel right. If I'm throttling it because I'm not at 100% mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that's on me. That's my choice. I'm not going to do it to please somebody else. There are other classes. There are other things. And if you don't like it, that's your work to do, not my work. And so this attitude of shifting your mindset, instead of being so upset by something somebody else is doing, you can either join in on the party, you can withdraw, you have so many options. And, just the way we respond, like our stress levels, like this will constitute us having a longer life. Sitting here stressed out and getting upset in the middle of a dance class where the music is blasting, you're shaking your hips and your butt, like this is what's going to upset you because we're supposed to be quiet about this. Like there are other classes that are serious. Go join those, like this is as close to being a club as some of us ever get. And, I just have to say, like, having a good attitude and being around people with good attitudes does increase your lifespan, potentially, right? We always know there's those, like, things that, can't happen. But really, it lowers our cortisol, like, it lowers our blood pressure. Like, I feel so good when I'm in those classes. So just having a good attitude, even in regards to things that are difficult, right? Yesterday, my gym is, I talk about it all the time. It is this beautiful place of friendships, of working out, of having my own kind of life. And, I called my dad for one thing yesterday. And like I said, my dad has been very generous. And for the last couple years, he added me onto the gym and then he's paid for it. And, he doesn't do anything for me. I'm the oldest child. I never said I needed anything. Everything is fine. Everything is good. I'm fine. I'm fine. Even when things were not fine. I never spoke up. I never did anything to rock his boat or make him worry or be sad. And I'm working on that. I'm getting better, at being honest and not trying to protect his needs and in the same time diminish mine. And he ends up telling me like, oh, by the way, in like 2 days, you may not have a gym anymore. And I'm like, what? Like, you're not even giving me any, like in my mind, I'm processing it because I'm not really realizing like the dates and everything like that. And I'm like, this is the one thing. You've given my brother hundreds of $1,000s. You still support your other 2 kids, sent them through colleges, paid it all free and clear. I had my own loans and things like that. And, but then on the same turn, I'm like, I'm a 48-year-old woman who can pay for her own gym. I don't need daddy to pay for a gym, but this was the one thing that he did for me. And it was something so important. Not only did he do it for me by if he hadn't paid for it, I wouldn't have gone. I would have never said, I'm going to join a gym and let alone this expensive gym. And I never would have had all these experiences that have happened to me physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Like I just wouldn't have had all those opportunities. I wouldn't have allowed myself. I wouldn't have cared for myself enough. I wouldn't have thought I was worthy of that. I wouldn't have ever thought I belonged. I would have thought I was continue to think I was an imposter in those situations. And maybe I wouldn't be where I am today because of it. Well, guaranteed, because I've had some amazing friendships and, like experiences as a result of that. And so, for a minute I got upset, like, and I'm thinking as I got the phone, but it's a shift in my attitude, right? Like, yeah, yeah, like I can be upset, but then on the same turn, I could be like, you know what? It's not fun spending money, but I can find the resources to make this possible and still do this for myself. Will it be easy? No. Is the timing great? No. But it is something really important to me. And I am worth that. I am worth it. And to Chris's thing, I told him, and immediately he was like, I'll pay for your gym. Like, I know how much it means to you. And like that, just whether he did it or not, just the realization, the growth in which he's had to say, number one, I see how important it is and I want to help you. Like, that was huge for me. Like, it was really important. And I felt like, you get it. You get me. You understand how important this is. Whether or not he ever pays a dime, the fact that he was willing and so quickly was just like, I'll help you with this. Like, I don't want to see you sad. I know how important it is to you. And I was like, wow, that was pretty awesome. I was really, really in appreciation for that. And so that shifts me into this attitude of gratitude, right? Like that second part of it for her, just being grateful. Sometimes it's something small. Like, I'm grateful that the sun is out today. I'm grateful that my friend invited me to lunch, and I'm grateful that my instructor joined us. I'm grateful to enrich those relationships outside of the classroom and learn about their experiences. Everybody's going through something, right? She's got a really scary health battle that she's she's facing right now. Yet she comes in there with smiles. She's adapting. She's had these major surgeries and scary tests that she's waiting for. And she has to wear a mask now all the time because she no longer has an organ that's vital in keeping her immune system strong. And so she's weaker and in some senses, but yet so much stronger in so many senses. So even in this time, she's finding things to be grateful for. She's finding this attitude of gratitude to say, not to say it anything like that. And so I'm grateful for so many things. And it took a long time to get there, right? Like, it's easy to say, why is this happening to me? Like, why would this lady say this to her? And the other thing is like, why does this one negative bad seed get all the attention when there's a classroom of people that appreciate and love you? And now maybe they don't always say the good stuff, right? Like, I think we so often get so conditioned to voice our complaints, voice what's hurt us, voice what's wrong. And it's a little bit more tricky and a little bit more vulnerable to say what's right. So Chris and I used to do this exercise, and I felt like when we were in therapy, it was really important for me because I didn't always connect to what was happening in my body. I didn't really understand what was happening in my mind. I didn't know what my thoughts were. I was so busy having my thoughts be somebody else's. So in order to connect to this, we did this I feel when, because, in the future I need kind of exercise. And once I started going with it, it was like connecting what it is I was feeling, when I was feeling it, why I was feeling it, and how it can be tweaked or improved on or stay the same or whatever, depending on what it is. And that initial list of them, I mean, I went crazy. We were supposed to do like 3, and I think I did 300. Like, I was like, I feel when, because I need, and I just was letting it all out. It was like the freaking floodgates opened up. But 99.9% of those things were negative. They were bad. They were uncomfortable interactions that I had just been quietly holding on to. And so this morning I started thinking about something. So as Chris and I lay in bed now, we didn't sleep together for years and years. And even when we did, it was kind of this forced situation. And, I wasn't very open and receptive to it. I was kind of annoyed. And it was like, we have to sleep in the same bed. Now I have to do this, and I can't breathe, and I can't do this. And if I snore, he'll get upset. If I turn on the TV, he'll get upset. If I go pee, he'll get upset. Like, I had worked it up to this thing. And, he was annoyed by anything that I was doing. So it seemed, so I thought that was the story in which I created. And now both of us mutually want to sleep together. I know. This is so weird for me too. So I can't even, like, I don't even know. Like, it's just silly. But there's an adaptation, right? There's a getting used to, like, who has all the blankets? Before, even though we were in the same bed, we had our own blankets. We weren't cuddling. We weren't all these things. And so we're figuring it out, right? We're figuring out what works. Okay, well, this arm sleeps if I'm sleeping this way. How do we hug? How do we then get our good rest? And what is it we need to do? So we're figuring it out. And every time he wakes up to go to the bathroom, or anytime he just wakes up to roll over, I've noticed he takes care to see if I'm covered. And then I'll slowly feel he's covering me up. He's putting the blanket on my shoulder. He's putting the blanket on my back. Like, he is taking care of me. He is nurturing me. He's receptive to see, does this person next to me, is she comfortable? Is she warm? And so, this morning I was thinking about it. I was like, that's really thoughtful. And it makes me, how does this make me feel? Right? And like I said, I feel really, really taken care of. And so, I did this exercise with him, choosing to see something positive. And I was telling him, I feel taken care of when you put my blankets on me. And because, it's kind of whatever, however I had worded it. And it was just really nice to be able to look for and seek the good in this relationship and in Chris and in his actions, versus where I was before I shed my skin, right? To go back to yesterday's episode and the year of the snake. Before I had this transformation and this release, I was looking for the negative to fulfill whatever story. And yes, on surprise, he would be nice, or, he would shock me every once in a while. But still, it was like, we're on borrowed time here. Why is he being nice? What does he want? What's going on? What did he do? So now it's such a shift, right? I'm seeking the good. I'm seeking the positive. And I'll be darned, more good and more positive is coming out. Wow. I think this is pretty cool. It's really, really awesome. I'm really, really happy for it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And the more I feel like I notice it, and the more I communicate how grateful I am for it, the better and stronger we are. The more distance that comes between the old version of us and the more present and realistic and in living in this current reality we are in. And I'm really, really happy for I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful for the people in the class that get it. And so I had to remind my friend today, I said, those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. Be you. You keep sparkling, you keep shining, and don't let somebody else's opinion of you sway or take away your joy. Yeah, we can use somebody else's perspective as a guide or a guideline, and we can have it sit with us and say, do we agree with this or do we disagree? We are all on our own paths, living our own life that makes us proud. When I show up and I share my positive, high-spirited, free-spirited energy, I am proud of me. When I stifle myself because of somebody else, I feel shame, I feel guilt, I feel remorse, I feel regret. I feel indebted to somebody else. I feel like a stranger within my own skin. And so I know in order to continue to live a life I'm proud, I'm going to show up in a certain way. And I know that means some people are going to love me. And I know some people are going to dislike me. That's okay. We have billions of people on this earth. I'm not made for everyone. But those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. So I say all this to say, from the spirit, from the wisdom of a 102-year-old woman who is driving a vehicle until she was the ripe young age of 100 years old, eating her hot dogs as it may fit. Listen, we don't have to always do everything right. Don't feel shame because you're eating something, drinking something, doing this workout or not doing this workout. You're being too loud. You're being too quiet. Be you. Figure out what it is and what skin you feel the most comfortable in. And if there's something that you're doing that isn't resonating with you, release it. Shed that freaking skin. You can reinvent and reimagine yourself every single day for the rest of your life. But don't sit here and pretend like you can't eat certain things. Listen, I tell you all the time, I eat a sweet every single day, and not just one. Some days it's 2, some days it's 3. I eat when I want. I eat what I want. Well, when I want. It's still when I want. I'm still in control of it. But it is not the end all be all. Releasing all of those feelings and that the things that hold us back from being us, that is just as important as releasing a freaking calorie in a workout. I would rather eat what I want to eat and release the BS than hold on to all that BS and starve myself from living a life I want to live. So please go out there today, not only have an attitude of gratitude, but remember the 2 secrets to longevity and living a long and beautiful life for as long as it's supposed to be is all about your attitude, and it's all about gratitude. So go out there today. Please give somebody a big smile. Give yourself a big smile. I'm really, really proud of you for sticking in with this and discovering who it is you are. And if you can do me an extra favor, go out there today, give somebody a big compliment. Give yourself a compliment. What have you done today that is absolutely amazing? And let yourself know, because you deserve to know too, just as much as you deserve to share with somebody else. So look yourself in the mirror, give yourself a smile and say, you know what? You have really pretty eyes, or you know what? You had great energy today. You know what? You didn't want to get out of bed today, but you did. And I'm really proud of you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.